Is Lamar the best quarterback in the NFL?
Yes.
Lamar got hit from behind, the ball is stripped. 3rd and 9, pressure, and they got him. He's up, and he gets taken down for a sack.
Through Baltimore. I don't think you can hand it off yet until you get a perfect look.
Karlaftis. Tough pass.
Okay, so Lamar Jackson is pretty good at football, right? I mean, he's a 2-time MVP, 2-time All-Pro, and has been the best player on the best team in the NFL twice now. But I love the guy, I really do. So it pains me to say it, but he's got the same amount of playoff wins as Baker Mayfield, his draft buddy that's been cut and traded multiple times. And after another disappointing playoff exit and meltdown from Lamar, things need to change because Lamar Jackson is too good to never even make a Super Bowl appearance in his career. I mean, remember back in 2019, in his first season as a starter, Lamar Jackson was far and away the best player in the entire NFL, and I do not say that lightly. He led the 14-2 Ravens to the first seed in the NFL, while his personal statistics were just unbelievable. He led the NFL in total touchdowns, as well as passer rating with a minimum of 400 pass attempts, which was already ridiculously impressive, but he did something we haven't seen since Michael Vick, and that was weaponize his legs to just shatter defenses, leading the NFL in quarterback rushing yards by so much that you could take Kyler Murray's rushing yards that year, who finished second behind Lamar, double it, and it still wouldn't have been enough to eclipse what Lamar did on the ground in 2019. And on top of all of that, Lamar was just so much fun to watch. I mean, his highlights from 2019 should tell you all you need to know about Lamar's game. It was just like a 22-year-old man was playing against 12-year-olds in Pop Warner. But then the playoffs finally came around, and Lamar Jackson, the #1 seed, and the Ravens were up against Derrick Henry's Tennessee Titans, and they definitely brought an interesting defensive game plan to try and contain this rare hybrid of a QB. The Titans had a good defense, not a very good one, but they weren't creative enough with the personnel they had, effectively forcing Lamar Jackson to the sidelines instead of down the middle where he was the most dangerous, and they were able to rely on a strong physical pass rush from Jarrell Casey and Harold Landry to neutralize the Ravens' run game, while the other guys basically did everything they could to keep Lamar from going up the middle and making magic happen on broken plays. Things also just did not go Lamar's way in this game at all, because like I said, this Ravens team really relied on the run game, like more than any other team in the league. So when the Titans jumped out to a 14-0 lead, the Ravens were forced to start airing it out, leading to Lamar Jackson posting, to this day, by far the most passes he's ever attempted in a game, with 59, as well as his second lowest passer rating of the season. So now the entire NFL had a blueprint on how to beat Lamar Jackson in the playoffs. But the issue with that was that Lamar Jackson did actually just play badly and didn't harness his strengths enough, something he even admitted himself. So in 2020, when the unanimous MVP got the Ravens back into the playoffs, they were able to beat the Titans in a rematch. And although Lamar didn't pass the ball very well at all, the Ravens defense contained Derrick Henry, and instead the Ravens were the tone setters in the second half, with Lamar's 136 rushing yards being enough to get his first playoff win. And the narrative that Lamar Jackson was a playoff choker seemed to be dead until 1 week later. Versus the Buffalo Bills, Lamar Jackson played fine, but was still not his usual self. Although there were pretty brutal moments like J.K. Dobbins' drop early in the game, Lamar still was responsible for the worst play of the entire game when inside the 20 with the best chance to score a touchdown. Lamar Jackson missed Mark Andrews for a pick that went all the way to the house for Buffalo, effectively ending the game. But even though Lamar's stats from this game they look terrible, his O-line was also awful without Ronnie Stanley, and overall Lamar's weapons got contained just as much as he did. So as of 2020, Lamar's playoff resume was a bit of a mixed bag, and we didn't get any playoff Lamar football in 2021 or 2022 because of injuries and the godly dong of Pro Bowl icon Tyler Huntley, but then 2023 came, and Lamar Jackson was finally freed of his unbendable shackle known as Greg Roman when he resigned as the team's offensive coordinator, and everyone was happy to see what Lamar could do under new offensive coordinator Todd Monken, you know, if Lamar would even be a Raven at all, because I'm sure y'all haven't already forgotten the amount of Lamar Jackson Atlanta Falcons edits that happened this past offseason, and they actually happened for good reason. Lamar Jackson straight up requested a trade due to contract reasons. Obviously, though, the Ravens fixed that problem and bet that Lamar's talent would be enough to pull through, and because the last 3 years of his career he had to deal with significant injuries and COVID protocol stuff, Lamar went right back to his MVP form, and honestly, he deserves so much more credit for this regular season. Comparing himself now to his 2019 form, which was already just obscenely amazing, it's night and day. He's a much improved pocket passer. His efficiency was just at an all-time high. He was making way better decisions all year too, and we also can't forget his weapons really just sucked ass again. And although I do think Lamar has his faults as a player still, you can't ignore the man's injury luck has also just been terrible. Losing J.K. Dobbins, Keaton Mitchell, and more to injuries. Hell, Melvin Gordon got snaps for this team in 2023. But the reason why this 2023 Ravens team and the 2019 teams felt so special was the defense was also unstoppable. Roquan Smith and Kyle Hamilton anchored the best defense in football, which allowed Lamar Jackson to actually become the NFL's best game manager at times. And this led to, in my opinion, pound for pound, the best Ravens team since the year 2000. Except Lamar Jackson would have to overcome his playoff demons again. And early on versus a team that wasn't even expected to be in the playoffs in a Houston Texans squad led by a rookie quarterback in CJ Stroud, Lamar was playing like trash. There's no other way around it. In the first half, he was terrible. The Texans were sending heavy blitzes at Lamar, and he just didn't know what to do about it, getting sacked twice in a row to end the half and then stormed off the field pissed off. Luckily though, the Ravens made some adjustments. The defense clamped up and didn't allow a single point in the second half, and Lamar started to get things going and saved his stat line. But although he does get credit for battling through adversity, for me, this was the Houston Texans we're talking about, and things really didn't start to fall apart until the Chiefs game, because Lamar Jackson actually had a perfect opportunity to beat a pretty mediocre Kansas City team overall, and he blew his chance. But remember, things always didn't look so bad. The game started off pretty great, actually. I mean, Lamar scored his first ever playoff touchdown in the first quarter on maybe a top 5 play all year, but then it almost instantly fell apart for Lamar. The Chiefs have an all-time great defensive coordinator and had the perfect personnel to piss off Lamar. George Karlaftis, Chris Jones, and the Chiefs pass rush overwhelmed the Ravens, and Kansas City bet that their cornerbacks were better than the Ravens receivers, but that didn't always hold up. With Zay Flowers breaking through the Chiefs secondary a few times, only to fumble on the 1-yard line to basically lose the game. Ravens would go on to finish the entire 2023 postseason not allowing a single point in the second half of games, but they still lost in the AFC Championship, with the reality becoming clear that for how good Lamar Jackson is, Patrick Mahomes is better. You cannot scheme against Mahomes. It's just not possible. And despite Lamar's defenses only allowing 15.7 points per game in his 6 playoff games, Lamar's playoff record is sitting at a pretty rough 2-4. There's definitely a lot of things here you can chalk up to bad luck, but Lamar really made some terrible plays in the Titans game in 2019 and this past Chiefs game with his interception into at least double coverage really just being all on him. He's been the main reason the 2 best Ravens teams in the past 10 years have lost in the playoffs. This really could be Lamar Jackson's legacy. Until he proves us wrong, we as fans don't have any reason to not look at Lamar as a player that just can't elevate his game when it matters most. But only time will tell, because the Ravens just added their past boogeyman in Derrick Henry, so who knows? Maybe Lamar Jackson will find a way to rewrite his own history. But anyways, if you like this video, then subscribe, because I got a lot of videos on the channel just like this one, and I should have a documentary coming out next week, so get ready for that. And if you did like this video, then watch this video that I just did on the complicated career of Kirk Cousins. It's pretty good, trust me. And thanks to all my patrons for pledging $1. It does mean a lot. Anyways, until next time.